I might let Cara introduce the next speakers if you want to go ahead and introduce Trevor and Danielle for our talk on enhancing accessibility in education.
Yes. For our next talk, we're going to have Trevor Boland from DCU and Danielle O'Rourke crew ahead talking to us about accessibility in education. They're gonna talk about kind of initiatives around accessibility that have been successfully implemented and that have worked well. We're gonna hear some kind of practical ways that educators and institutions can make changes and can make things better and easier for students with disabilities. And in particular, there's going to be a focus on assistive technology and how that can be used to help students with disabilities. So I'm very excited to hear them talk.
Thanks a million, Cara. I'm just going to remove your spotlight, and Danielle is about to be ready to be spotlighted. If I can just find her.
I'm here in the mix.
Hello. Where are you? Oh, there you are. Hello. And
How are
Trevor,
you?
you're going to share your slides for us.
I
Sorry,
will
I forgot.
indeed, yeah.
That's excellent.
That's okay.
Okay. Well, we'll kick off whenever you're ready.
Great. Thanks so much, everyone. Thanks for having us.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
That was a fantastic story, Lisa. I love hearing Lisa speak as well, and Cara as well. It's my first time seeing you speak at one of these events, and it's just great to have people here and talking about it. It's really great to see people coming together and chatting in this way. So I just love it. That's it. I'm gonna ask the very stereotypical question now about the weather because it is cold here. We're in UCD here and it is freezing. I don't know what part of the country you guys are all in. I seen it, someone was saying they're in where was it now? In Wexford. Grey, freezing. Yeah, absolutely. Freezing, freezing, freezing. Brilliant. Okay, I'm glad it's not the only one. I'm not the only one. So, so I'm going to start off today just kind of talking a little bit about accessibility, and kind of what accessibility means. So just while we wait to get the slides up, I'll just chat too. So the word accessibility is kind of a weird one, right? So sometimes you can kind of say it means a bunch of different things. So in this respect, what we're going to talk about is we're going to take accessibility to mean being able to access or engage with something. So very, very simple definition there, very, clear. Like, having something be accessible means that it is able to be reached or easily obtained. Very kind of basic kind of understanding there. If you want to put in the chat kind of what accessibility means to you, I think is something that might be nice to kick us off. One of the things I think that is really great about my work at Ahead and stuff is that accessibility is like basically my life. Perfect. Sorry, I'm getting a message there now. So what it is that for me, accessibility is kind of, oh, sorry, I see a message there now. No, not the share, not no slides coming up there now just yet. I can share them if that works, if that's whatever works.
Sorry, am I just sharing my slides, is it?
Sorry, Trevor, the slides are
Let me
stuck
grab.
together, but they're just on the website. I'll get them for you now and
Oh,
share.
yeah, no, I have them. Sorry, apologies, I misinterpreted. I thought I was just sharing my own slides.
All
Okay,
good, all good. You just
that's
share
all
your
right.
screen and then we'll just be able to jump off again. Thanks.
Super.
Yeah, all good. Perfect. Sorry about that, guys. So someone said accessibility means the ability to go places. So lifts, ramps, getting from A to B. Exactly. Yeah. So that's a really good idea of accessibility. And a lot of the times when we do think about accessibility, we think about, the physical accessibility, right? We think about like things like that, like ramps, like other bits and bobs, or like that ability to get physically to places. Um, so one of the other aspects of accessibility that we're going to talk about a bit more today is more on the digital side of things. So obviously we're all quite digital at the moment, especially since 2020, since the big C word. That accessibility means so much more than it used to mean. So we could talk about kind of captions, maybe subtitles, or even you know, online and having online college. So oh, someone said, yeah, exactly. So the ability to do all the things you want to do, like go to college, exactly. And believing that barriers are in the system and environment, not in the individuals. Yes, if I could heart that right now, I would. Absolutely. It's so important to kind of think about this word of accessibility and not just, it can be thrown around in a kind of academic sense a lot of the time, but to really think about what accessibility means to you. So on the slide, I just have a couple pictures of obviously the ramp. Someone's mentioned a ramp, so physically being able to get to places. On the left, there is a picture of a laptop with an online class going on. And then there's also just a little screenshot from a movie there with captions on. So I don't know about you guys, but I watch everything with captions and subtitles because I just feel like I can't quite process it audio. And it just really adds to the experience, and it means that I can access things more. So one thing about accessibility in the digital age is that we can do a lot, and what Trevor's going to talk to you about is a lot about assistive technology and accessibility, which is fantastic. Trevor, if you don't know, is a fantastic AT officer in DCU. I'm sure he'll go through that now in a minute. But one of the things about assistive technology as well is that if the content isn't accessible, then it's kind of not, you know, no assistive technology really is going to be able to kind of circumvent those barriers if the content itself isn't accessible. So it's so important. It's something that a lot of people kind of talk to teachers or lecturers about, and not so much students. But I think it's very important for students to be aware of what accessibility is and what that means to them as well. Um, so someone was saying there that accessibility is the removal of barriers that affect people with disabilities, being able to do everything non-disabled people do. Absolutely. I'm loving seeing what everyone's saying about accessibility. Obviously, it's very important to me as well. So it's great to see. If you want to keep putting those in the chat, I'm happy to keep reading them. So what I might do from now is I might actually just I sped through that very, very quickly, but I might just pass over to Trevor now, if that suits you, Trevor. And he's going to go through some fantastic things about assistive technology and maybe some things that might help students today. So I will pass to the lovely Trevor. How are you doing, Trevor?
Hi, I'm doing good. I'm finally starting to wake up. So I made a total banjax of sharing the slides there. That is good. So anyway, going live, I forgot how fun it was. But Daniel, thanks a lot. And first of all, having this conversation about accessibility is just incredibly important. And it is such a huge advantage to our students, our young people, our mature students, or whatever the audience is that's watching this, to start becoming accessibility aware. Because it's, well, first of all, there's laws that are bringing it in, and we're becoming more conscious about it. As students, we're seeing more evidence of it, especially in our universities and colleges and education centers or wherever you are studying. And it takes many forms. And as Daniel said, this accessibility word, it means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So we're just going to like basically scrape just the surface of this today. And it's going to be really interesting just to see what happens in our conversation. But specifically in my role, I'm an assistive technology officer. So generally people go like, what's assistive technology? And then who's an assistive technology officer? So assistive technology is basically like in an education context, technologies and tools that help our students to just learn more effectively, to learn and study to be the best version of themselves possible. And I think that's just a goal that everyone should aspire to in education, not only our students with disabilities, but even our students without disabilities. And what is so incredibly special is that in our colleges and centres that we have these disability services who are geared to making our students with disabilities happier and more productive. So one of our big takeaways about accessibility is getting curious. And curiosity is this key message I find myself, especially in the past few years, trying to drive with students. Because first of all, we want to encourage students to be curious about themselves, what kind of learners they are, how they best learn, and then if they have little tiny gaps in their learning, that we can use these assistive technologies to help balance that out so everyone plays on a level playing field. And that's the aim. We want equality in our classrooms. And that's the big thing about accessibility and assistive technology. And then when we've found kind of a gap or opportunity to really help you, is then negotiating and matching those technologies to you. So again, getting curious and taking those first steps and acting on your curiosity is so important. Engaging with the disability services, because we still get students who've come in through CAO and who've gone through there, and they're still shy about coming and making that first step with the disability services. So my thing, even if you start college or your center or your university course or whatever it is that you're starting, and there's a disability service, as a plan B, it is always really good to just be registered with the disability service. Even if you register from day one and you're like, I don't think I'm going to need any supports from them, at least when you have a moment when you need a support, they can act quickly. They have you registered and they can act on that information swiftly. So it means we get to work with you faster. And then a big thing about curiosity is your college or university or center probably is doing lots of work in AT and accessibility. And you just need to dig into, those websites colleges and universities have that have loads of information. I'm telling you, spending a bit of time burrowing into those, you're going to find a few names and a few things going on that, I mean, even as a staff member, I'm surprised at what things I don't find in the website myself. And then I find them one day and it's been there for years. So getting curious, so reading, getting in as much information as you can about your destination, wherever it is you're going to be studying. And then when it comes to accessibility or assistive technology, find those people who you can connect with. So in this case, assistive technology officers, they would be a great go-to person. And if you have never heard of your assistive technology officer, if you're a prospective student and you're thinking about going to DCU, UCD, TU Dublin, DKIT, ATU, whatever it is, go and find the names of these people and their emails and start to make contact with them. Get curious about what their roles are and what they have and what they can do. And even all these other services, the libraries, the students union, because like even our library here, they host something called census access that makes your reading information more accessible. So you import your documents into census access and we can make them more accessible. And our library has that. So having conversations with staff, you never know where you're going to find information about accessible information that's going to support your assistive technologies as well. So in DCU, we have an initiative. It's called DCU Compass. And in ours, you all probably have something called Blackboard or Brightspace or Google Classroom. And within that, we have a resource called Compass. And it's all about assistive technology. And generally, everyone has a resource now, to some extent, about accessibility or assistive technology. So that's where that curiosity pays off. From the get-go, you can find like where these tools are, where these technologies are. And if you're in college right now and you're still not sure where to go, start asking around. I mean, the disability services are a great place to start with. So whether you're a prospective student or a current student, please get curious about assistive technology and accessibility. There are people there who are dying, because even in DCU, I'm dying to talk to our students with accessibility. I'm begging them to come to me. So like, I mean, we're eager to learn and we're eager to get your perspectives as well on accessibility. So assistive technology comes in many forms. And even I'm hoping our audience today that they're going to come and they might have a challenge with note taking. That's one of our big things. Note taking is becoming a big, big challenge in the last few years for different reasons. So definitely interact with your college and find out what they do. Read aloud features. So like the volume of reading comes up as a big key, and like it's always the same. In the 10 years I've worked in assistive technology, the volume of reading is always a challenge. And there are multiple ways to engage it. And actually, the big thing, if you have an iPhone out there, please explore your accessibility options within your iPhone. There's an amazing reading tool that you can just switch on and it will read out documents and PDFs from your phone. So getting curious about those devices that you own, they will pay off in huge ways, because sometimes there's this notion that assistive technology is clunky or awkward, or it's this other type of technology, when really it's about accessing a tool that's already within the technologies you currently have. And it's great. And then writing. So writing essays, reports, whatever it is, they come across as big, big takeaways. a big ask every year with students. So like whether you have Microsoft or Google, definitely have access to at least a Gmail account or a Microsoft account. There are speech to text tools within that that can help us write in different ways. So for even me and my dyslexia, I use speech to text in different ways. So I write a little bit with my voice and I type a bit and I write another bit with my voice because I know from years now, I know with some types of reports or write some paragraphs that I'm writing, I can say what I'm thinking more effectively than type what I'm thinking. So again, getting curious about what kind of learner type you are helps you to match that technology to yourself as well. And then in terms of organization and procrastination, there's definitely tools out there. So assistive technology can help. And what's brilliant about ahead is that AT Hive resource that has a huge repository of these types of assistive technologies. Sorry, I don't have the link on me right now, but I'm sure someone in ahead is probably scurrying to paste the link into the chat box right now because, oh, thank you very much. Okay, Daniel just posted it in. Okay, so that's brilliant. But yeah, that's a great place to get curious and start looking at these tools. Okay. Oh, and your tech skills. Oh God, yeah, please. This message has come about 2 years ago. Please, just a little while, just keep curious about tech basics. We just are starting to see a little tiny gap appearing in our new students. Just things like being able to create files and folders. You know, on a desktop or on your computer, or in your Google Drive, that notion of just creating files and folders, this makes such a huge difference, especially to our students with dyslexia and ADHD in terms of organization. And it's something is happening where these basic technology skills are just slipping by somehow through the system. So if you're unsure, if you've never made a file or folder, please don't scatter millions of files on your desktop computer. Please learn how to make a file or folder. It really pays off. It's a simple skill. And if you have no idea, ask ChatGPT how to make a folder on your desktop. Google it, whatever way you're finding information. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Someone just said, if you have any questions, drop them in. Please definitely ask questions. And then in terms of, I mentioned something about census access and being able to convert files. I'm just going to paste something in here. It's made by a group called Ally. And the link is basically ally.ac/COVID-19/. And I'll hopefully have time to give a demo. How am I doing for time? Quiva's going to say, Trevor, you've gone over time already. You finished
No,
5 minutes ago. No,
plenty of time, Trevor. You have
plenty of time.
about 15, 20 minutes left.
50, 20 minutes. Perfect. Okay. So for next 30 minutes, no, I mean 15, 20 minutes, I will talk about assistive technology. So we're going to take a look. Actually, hopefully this will work. If I just put my browser in front of the screen, does that share the screen with you? Does
Yes,
it?
yes,
Oh,
perfect, perfect.
oh, sweet, gorgeous. Okay. So this is the website I shared in the link in the chat. So File Transformer is a free file transformer. It was made available during the pandemic by our friends here called Blackboard Ally, and they've left it up because people are using it. And what's really nice about this is that you can click browse. Unfortunately, I can't click on the button right now because I have student documents in my my computer, so I don't want to reveal what those are. So click browse, upload your document, and that document could be in your downloads folder, it could be on your desktop, wherever you store those folders. And then it will upload the document. And then you can choose how you want to transform that document. So one big thing that our students are doing now is that they are transforming their Word documents, their PDF documents into audio files. And they're doing that for a few reasons. Some of our students just like to listen rather than read. So that's brilliant. We can choose how we convert our materials to help us learn. Some students like to walk as they're listening as well. So we have like kinesthetic preferences. So like if you're someone who likes a 10-minute walk in the evening, or you're walking around to the bus or something like that, and you have a bit of a distance, transform these files and access these files as you're walking. It's great. And then we have a lot of students who are doing long commutes. Commuting is definitely becoming more and more of a factor in recent years in wherever you study. So if you're on a bus or a train or you're in your car, whatever way you're commuting, please try converting your files into audio files and maximizing that time when you're commuting. Because one thing I definitely want my students to think about is like they have earned their break. When they get home, I strongly encourage them to rest. So if you can maximize the time during your day, like especially when you commute for study, and you get home, like you have earned that ability to rest and relax. So these tips are about how you basically you're kind to your mind, basically finding ways of supporting your well-being by using these technologies to help you maximize your time during the day to study. So when you are in relax mode, you can rest and shut off knowing that you have tried all different types of ways to engage your learning. So and then even some people convert the files and still prefer to read while they're listening to the audio version. And that's okay too. So the great thing about being different types of learners is that we get to try and experiment and be curious about the different ways that we need to use technology that best suit us. So hopefully, even if one thing you do today is to try that file conversion and see and test it with yourself and see how you marry that or bring that into your day-to-day activities, that would be really powerful. That's a big win, definitely. Super. Okay, so I will do that. I'll just go to the next slide. Okay, this is the big thing. Okay, so digital accessibility. This is the way. So I actually gave an accessibility presentation to staff here in DCU just before here, and it's amazing. So whether it's students or staff, they're all curious about accessibility, especially digital accessibility. What it is, how do we, what does it involve? What do we think about when we think of digital accessibility? And even like some of our lecturers and our professional staff, they too they're starting their digital accessibility journey for the first time today, and it's great. So one thing that I have done in terms of digital accessibility and trying to, I suppose, communicate accessibility to students or staff, whoever it is to make it simple and succinct, because we want that first step into the world of accessibility to be a positive one, to help us kind of feel like we're starting to understand and engage in it. Um, so when I created this, I was thinking of like, what is it that I look forward to most in my life? So one of the things I look forward to is like my home. I love my home. That's my comfort. That's my go-to, my sanctuary. So I was thinking if I can build house around this notion of a sanctuary or safety or accessibility, like that's really powerful. So taking those letters from the word house, I've been able to kind of break down what digital accessibility is. So again, the H is for headings and structure. The O is for ornamental or description. That's specific to our images. So when we make images accessible, we have to think in certain ways. The U in house is for the URLs and links. And how we make links available to students, it can be done really well and really not so good. So we try to explore that. And then when it comes to S in-house, it's about sans serif and readability. So those fonts that are easy to read, they are called sans serif. And this font right here in this slide, this is a sans serif font. It's geometric, simple, very easy to read every letter. I can see each letter and understand what each letter looks like. And for me, that's the beauty of a sans serif. There's no distraction about it. There's no big curly tails, although maybe there's a time and a place for a big curly tail on something. But in terms of reading, we want to be able to read as effectively as possible for as long as possible. So when we choose the right fonts, we are improving the readability of our documents, our website. So that's a big key. And to be honest, like even today when I was talking to staff, this sometimes is their first time hearing this word readability and even just thinking about it. So it's amazing when we have these discussions with staff. That's the power of words and language regarding accessibility. Helps us to pin what those considerations are. And then that E in house is about evaluating our accessibility. And luckily in Microsoft PowerPoint and Microsoft Word, these tools are helping us to really make our artifacts as accessible as possible. So Microsoft, PowerPoint, and Word have accessibility checkers, and we're going to see what those look like in just a second. Okay, so, oh, sorry, let's go. Oh, sorry, slipped out. Uh-oh. We are going to find a Word document. And I'm just going to do that right now. Or do you know what? I might actually do it with a PowerPoint slide just because I've got one there. Yeah. Oh my God, here's a PowerPoint version of what we had. So here we go. We're going to look at PowerPoint and we're going to check it to see if it's accessible. Now, I'm pretty sure that this is because Daniel, I think in ahead has checked it. So I unfortunately love astronauts. So I just thought I want as many astronaut images in this as possible because I just think they're adorable. I don't know why. Um, so I'm going to see if this is accessible. So I'm in PowerPoint. I'm going to go to review. And in review, there's a little button here called check accessibility. So if it's your first time ever realizing this tool, that's great. We are getting curious about PowerPoint. And here we just click on the accessibility button and oh my God, there, this looks good, looks good, no issues found. So we are 100% sure that this is fully accessible. There's no color contrast issues. Oh my media tables, document structure. I've got all slides. All my slides have a title. That's brilliant. So now, unfortunately, I'm going to slightly tweak the good work that I have done, and I'm going to slightly undo some of it. So I'm hovering my mouse over my image. I'm going to right click and we see this menu. And again, this might be old news to some students, but it might be news. So this is called a context menu. And when we see this context menu, I can see this button here, view alt text. So alt text is another way of saying alternative text. So when I click alternative text, I can see there's text describing the image. So an astronaut with a phone and listening to sound on the phone. Okay, that's great. So that's okay. So now I'm going to undo. You know what? I'll cut it. I'm going to undo it. And now I'm going to exit it. And now, oh, already the accessibility checker has highlighted that Trevor has been messing with the alt text and I've removed my alt text. So I can see that when, oh, sorry, I just went through that really quickly. I can select that message, missing alt text, and then it opens up by default the little sentence I need to describe the image, and I click save, and that's it. So for a lot of students and a lot of staff, sometimes that's a whole new concept about it. So when it comes to accessibility, I think, first of all, it's good to know what those potential accessibility challenges can be in a document or slide, and then how to fix them is another great way. And then I think the next thing to do is to share that information. So to tell your friends, tell even your lecturers about that, because accessibility, sometimes people have these notions that accessibility is only for our blind students. And I think part of it, a big part of it definitely is for our blind students, but also another part of accessibility is thinking of people like me who have dyslexia. Because if information has bullet points like this, then it's way easier to read. So here I've got bullet points, here I've got bullet points, here I've got bullet points. Because when I am forced to write something in a bullet point, I have to be really succinct. It's easier to read. And again, sometimes even as staff or students, sometimes that's the first time we have actually thought about bullet points. And even one thing that I spoke about today with our staff is like sometimes people write, have you ever done fake bullet points? Like you just write a dash and then you write the word and the next sentence you do a dash. If that's not using the bullet point feature in your home tab. So in home, I can select my text and there's my bullet point thing. I can unbullet point my features and then re-bullet point them. So you need to select that bullet point. And I would say I'm almost 100% certain that everyone here today knows how to bullet point. So I would, am I taking my life in my hands by saying something like that? I'm going to say it. I'm going to be bold. I'm going to say with no doubt, we all know how to use the bullet point feature. And if you know how to create a bullet point, you already have an accessibility skill. Like it's there. You have the skill, but you haven't named it an accessibility skill. So it's sometimes this accessibility thing isn't as big and scary as we think, because sometimes we already have those skills in front of us and we've been using them for many years, but we just have to take a step back and name them as that. So when, oh, Quiva, I have another question. So when do questions start? In the next minute, 5 minutes ago?
No, not 5 minutes ago. We have about
Yeah,
15 minutes left if you want to
50 minutes
time
left.
it out that way. So we could take it as like 10 minutes for questions, or if you want to have 10 more minutes presenting, up to you.
Oh, okay, that's okay. That's okay. I'm always terrified of going over time, but that's okay. But Rachel has asked a lovely question. Microsoft Word automatically turn your dash into... No way. Rachel said it'll turn fake bullet points into real bullet points. I have never tried that. Do you know what? Because I'm a bit weird. I don't want to tell lecturers that, because then they'll say like, "Oh, just write fake bullet points all the time then, and the Microsoft will sort it." I don't know if it works in PowerPoint. Okay, well, Rachel, that's a good tip. That is something I'm definitely going to explore. Yeah, and we're going to see about that. So we've done alt text. Oh, links. Yeah, we're definitely going to have a look at the links. So do you know what? Let's go back to my URL. Okay, so we're going to find a link, and then, I'll search something myself. DCU House of Accessibility. Okay, so this is a web page that I made about the House of Accessibility, because I just want anyone to know this. So I want to share this house acronym with people so they can start to explore houses and learn about accessibility. Um, So if that's the case, I'll just post the link in here. And that means you can take that away and you can explore what the H is for house, even look at the video, unfortunately, of me talking about house. And there we go. There's our H for headings, O, U, S, and E, and that's great. So it's a good first step into this world of accessibility. So you can actually potentially become like an accessibility advocate, which is like really powerful. And it's going to be a lifelong skill. For the rest of your life, you're going to be thinking and talking about accessibility. And then what we're going to do is oh, I've copied this link. And now I'm going to show you how to do a terrible job of making it an inaccessible link. New slide. Okay, let's start blank. Okay, so we've got our heading slide. So making a bad link. Let's say it a bad link. Okay, and then this is a great example of an inaccessible link. So I was guilty of doing this for years. Just it can be called like a naked URL or raw URL. So sometimes the term changes, but essentially I've just copied and pasted a URL from my browser and pasted it in. Okay, so what the story is then is like I need to rethink this habit. So I'm going to rethink it. So sometime for a long time I did this. Click here. So for a long time I wrote click here in my documents to students. So I select the text, click link. Oh, add my address there. Click OK. Wait, so I'm going to change that text to a different, more contrasty one. Okay, I'll change that to white. We can see it better. So click here. I thought I was doing fantastic for so many years. I thought, God, I'm so great. I've put URLs into text. I'm fantastic. And then I had a great chat with a blind student years ago. And then he kindly explained to me, thankfully, that that was terrible to do. Because he said when he uses his screen reader, and all these instances where where I've written click here on his screen reader, it pulled in all the click here's. And so for him, it just looked like I was asking him just to click here on things. And he kept saying, like, how am I supposed to know where these go? Like, what's the destination of this link? And I was like, okay, that's really good. And then he showed me how to make a proper link. So that's why I really think it's so important for staff and students to have conversations with each other, because the sharing is incredible. So this, if so the phrase he said stuck in my head. It's like, describe the destination of the link. So the destination is a website about using the house acronym. Oh God, is this where I spelled acronym wrong? Oh my God, I spelled it right. Wow, it's a good day. House acronym to help the understanding of accessibility. That's okay. That's okay. That's an okay description of house. So I select my line, click on link, and in the address, there's my web page. Click OK. Ooh, let's turn the text to white. Now there we go. So this is like a really good, this is a really helpful. So not only when I spoke to students, realized that this is helpful for our blind students, I just thought this is just good for everyone, because now everybody knows where the destination of this is going. So one practice that I did for my blind students actually ended up helping all students, whether they do or don't have a disability. And that's the incredible thing about accessibility, is that it gets you to think about how little changes that make disability people feel inclusive is actually helping everyone to be inclusive. Like, and it's showing as well good habits that are needed as well. So that was a really big takeaway for some of our staff today in the workshop that I showed today. Okay, so does that seem big? So it's about, so a lot of these changes are about just changing the habits of how we think about accessibility. You know, mind just put in a question? Oh yeah. So if there's any questions, please ask me loads of questions, really hard ones, especially. Yeah, I love really hard ones because then I use ChatGPT to find the answers for that. No, I don't. Sorry, don't do that. No, just actually read stuff. Okay, so when it comes to assistive technology, oh, actually, can I show a Word document and show? Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah, go for it. Go
Is
for
that
it.
okay? Because one thing. Oh, sorry, a student just said something. Yeah, I took a break to get a part to fix the car, so I had to ask my classmates to carry up a toolbox for me. Oh, can imagine. Okay. Oh, Becky. Okay, that's a very specific point. Yeah. No, sorry to hear about that. Um, okay, so there's definitely something. One thing I've noticed in our Word documents, just in the last year or two, is that when we get new students into TCU, so we get like a big bunch of students who come in through DARE, and it's brilliant. When they come in, we get to really have amazing chats with them, just about what tools they've used already, and what kind of things they're kind of what the kind of tools that they're thinking about trying out in DCU. So invariably, we get a few students chatting to us about, reading. Reading, like I said, it's like our top challenge. So for me, I try to embed as many awarenesses as possible about how we can read in different ways. So I'm just going to slide my Word document over here. That's okay. And in here, we can look at a few things. So chances are, like even if you're not in a college yet, and maybe you're in a secondary school, and maybe you've joined us, that's great. So you might be in somewhere where there's a Microsoft system where you already have a Word account as part of your college. But if you're in college already, I would say there's a really high chance you've got a Microsoft account in the college or the center you're in. And in this, we could think about accessibility as well. So this was a document from the workshop I just did this morning with our lecturers. And we inserted an image. We looked at view alt text with the staff. Oh my God. Wow. CLOSE. So it helps if I spell properly. That's a good tip. Make sure you spell your alt text properly. Don't be like me. Okay, so definitely. So we looked at alt text. We added an image. We looked at how to add alt text to that image. And especially in a Word document, we looked at our heading styles. So whether you're a staff or a student, people are probably going to go like, what is a heading style? I have never heard about that before. Because as staff and students, sometimes it's the first time as someone has said there's something called heading styles in a Word document. But when we actually have this conversation, it's amazing because lots of people make fake headings in Word documents. So they might just say why genetics are important and just do an enlarged font style, and just because it kind of will look like a heading but not be a real heading. So when something is a real heading, I select the text and I select heading 1. And now when I can hover my mouse or my cursor over that heading, and I can see that heading 1 is highlighted. So I'm 100% sure that is a proper heading style. And then I have subheadings in this. So I can see by hovering my mouse or cursor over this that the heading 2 style is selected. And here, I think it's heading 2 again, heading 2 again. So it's a subsection of this section, why genetics are important. I know nothing about genetics. I'm so sorry, because if there's people who know lots about genetics on this call, like, I mean, I'm not going to be bragging at all about my level of knowledge of RNA or other terms I learned from Jurassic Park movies. So we're going to see. So this is a really good skill. So chances are people have done a little bit about heading styles before. And if you've done so, it might be because like you've written an essay or something and you use heading styles. And even for staff, sometimes they've used heading styles to break up a long piece of writing, but they never thought it was an accessibility skill. But when you start using heading styles, not only does it make the document look better, but it has a function, because it shows me how I've laid out my information in a really, really nice, effective, easy to read way. And then when oh, is it outlined? Oh no. Ooh, sorry, I very rarely do that. Outline. Oh, that's nice. So that's where the image is. Basically, sorry, I'll do that again.
Trevor, I might just give you a 2-minute warning if that's okay.
Oh my God, 2-minute warning. Okay, I'm having flashbacks. Okay, yeah, that's okay. Yeah. So, and then when we have a Word document, we can do loads with it. So we can go to review, and that reading tip that I have is to just remember that in review, there's read aloud. And when you select that, it will read the document loudly to you. So it will read it back. So one thing that I think students may not be the most excited about is proofreading their assignments. Proofreading, I would say, is one of the least liked tasks a student has to do, and that's okay. So out of a group of about 30 students, I typically get about 2 students who actually say they like proofreading. And that's kind of become like a norm in the stats of like when I ask students this question. So if you are like me and you hate proofreading, lean into a tool like read aloud in Word, and it will read back the document. Because what happens is that some people are better at proof listening than proofreading. So they're better at hearing a mistake rather than reading a mistake. So again, just that point about being curious about your learner type and what kind of type of way you are at studying best. Like if you have a gap like proofreading, lean into technology to counteract that that skill that maybe you don't have. Because I know for me, I always have to lean into read aloud tools. Okay, so that's my 2 big takeaways. So please try that. So I will go to my last slide and I will say, when you're in college, there is definitely like-minded people like you, whoever you are, and to connect with them. And that can take a little while in whatever setting you're in. But the student union groups, like, if you're into clubs and societies, that's a big one. Sometimes we get some of our students spending a long time procrastinating about joining a club or society, but please do not procrastinate about that. Just dive in, socialize. I'm telling you, it's amazing. And even do something you're not interested in. Like, I think we have like a geology student who's doing an art and crafts thing inside, and he's like, I have no idea what I'm doing it. And he went for one, and then he just realized he liked the group, and then he stays in it. I'm like, that's amazing. That's great. So like, I love those stories from students. The randomness of the social life is so good. You never know when you're going to find your group. So anyway, I'm going to stop talking. Thanks so much for listening. If you have any questions, please ask me hard ones. Thank you.
That was so great, Trevor. It's always so great to get you to come and talk about accessibility and and that kind of thing. It's really fantastic. I think you've kind of answered the questions as you go along, and maybe we'll see if there's any more happening now in the chat. Someone was saying, I think you already kind of answered this, but someone was asking, do you do training with all the academic staff in DCU on accessibility and that kind of thing?
Yeah, so we certainly do. We certainly do try. We can't make the staff, but we can certainly put the invite out there and they come in. And even today, like it's amazing. Like we had staff from human resources from our HR department. We had like a couple of lecturers. We had one from registry. So it's always a big mix, which is so nice because again, people are getting curious about accessibility and just they just need to answer, but they're getting curious about technology because students are going to them saying they have challenges about using systems or accessing materials. So we need the students just to keep communicating with the universities about the challenges that they're experiencing, you know. Okay.
Excellent. Thanks, guys. I might just let Cara and Stephen, Stephen didn't get to introduce himself earlier, but I just want them to thank you both for speaking today. You guys were amazing. And then I'll let Stephen and Cara introduce themselves again before we take a quick break. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, so
Super.
thank you both so much. Danielle, that was a lovely discussion about what accessibility means to people. And I really appreciated what you were saying, Trevor, about being really like open and being curious about what you need to learn better in education. I think that's so important. And I love that HOUSE acronym. I saw someone in the chat said that it was a really accessible way to describe accessibility, which I thought was very accurate. So thank you very much. And let's let Stephen introduce himself.
Hi, my name is Stephen. Yeah, Trevor, I'd just like to say thanks very much for coming on to the Disabilities here. Your work has always amazed me with assistive technology. I'd just like to say thanks very much.
Oh, Stephen, thank you. Well, that's so good. I need to write a book so I can have a book signing or something like that. Yeah, we need to formalize this this
I'll
group.
be
Yeah.
first in line of your fan club, Trevor.
Yeah,
That's it.
let's
We'll all be
let's
there.
just
Well, if I get,
form a fan club.
I want my dog on the front page. That's one of my go-tos.
Amazing.
Yeah, no. Okay.
Okay, excellent. Thanks so much, guys. I'm going to stop the recording now. If you don't mind, Danielle, would